Podcast. I'm Bailey Policki. He's hit that subscribe button. Wolves fan, especially, make sure you like as well, as it'll help us reach the Minnesota Timberwolves over the first 13 games of the season. Start. So obviously that bad losses in their first record in the NBA. Well, unspirited, dispirited. We'll say losses to the Clippers so far.
Oh.
Consensus though through 13 games. Defense and what a lot of people expect. Offense has been struggling mightily. Karl-Anthony Towns and the offense first. We're 23 points per game. Cat and Ant, who are both over 20. Problem here in terms of why we're.
It's just because of all the guys season to make shots. Just for this to be a top 10 unit, at least a playoff spot, and right now, and I think it's with our big three shooting at a better percentage. Not so far, and including a 4. But after him, like shooting percentages go down. Let's get better. I think Lowe's been very up and down, where he can get as hot as anybody, but from him too, at least a little bit. But then even then, you talk about the role really contributing offensively. Big three with double figures a game. And is averaging around 9, I think. So everybody else getting their chances, and that's a 3 as well. Now, obviously, doesn't the best of teams so you could think of, they all have the 12 a game, something like that. Factors that goes into this 20. I'd probably just say a little bit, but they're simple-minded, but a little bit more flow, a little bit more rhythm.
Yeah, that's kind of been the number one. Is on Finch or not, but like it seems we're always getting into our set. A few years ago, and Teague would
shot clock down.
Yeah, we wouldn't get in set. It's not quite as dramatic now. We're not pushing the pace whatsoever. And yeah, we're pushing. We're trying to score. In fact, the thing too is I feel like we need to get more fast shot, but we won't get the rebound or because our that's aren't really moving when they're not on Pat in the corner.
Yeah.
Letting Ant dribble the air out of the ball. Something happened, and Curry has been amazing this year. You guys are always moving without the ball. Open, and I don't know why. You could chalk it up to effort, but like I don't know the way system in place, so I don't really know what the difference. I guess I way it's appearing to me, at least.
The metrics too. I love the point as much transition as possible, because if you look deep into the metrics, worst, if not the worst in the league. So yeah, I think really, if we can't do that, then improve this half-court offense too.
24th and 3-point shooting percentage. End of this last game, again, thinking on this. The Suns also had so many shots in the clanking them off the rim. Game, a good look for 3.
Yeah.
Such a wildly inconsistent. He's really good, but who was just such a great feeling this season. The next game, he can't hit. So he's shooting a good percentage from 3. 23s at this point. He's going to get that shot to fall, but back and realize, okay, I need to start going as well. Like, he kind of stopped shooting, playing good defense, etc. But in terms of strictly just top, man, like with Taurean Prince and from 3 too, but we got some shooters. Jaden McDaniel knocked down shots and shots on this team, and the two that are Beasley and Jaden McDaniels in my mind.
Those are significant role players for this. Think of after the top 3 that they're just not really getting it done at efficient rate, and we need them to contribute more offensively. Just seen, and this could different factors, whether that's the coaching or maybe it's them playing with the big 3. They got to figure it out if we're actually beginning this. It's just 3 guys scoring, somebody else is going to points a game or something like that. We have a guy like Beasley, who I think is part of his game is 3-point shooting. I can turn around and he will find. Just hope it's not too late by the time he gets
that. I mean, he's a game when he was healthy.
Yeah.
Our team for the first half of last season. He didn't come into the season working back from that as well. But let's kind of some positives to take away. He's just been a huge Wolves, 6 in steals and 8. Clearly just way more active on the defense. Kind of noticed there, and who's really stuck out to you on?
They're huge. This is awesome. This is a huge production, because when you came into the season, biggest question marks really resided defensively, because we thought the offense is a surefire thing, that we'd be a top 10 unit. It's just could the defense just be average? So then that wouldn't be a liability. But I think we're getting even better than that. And I think everybody's bringing a little something to the table, whether that be from J.O. and Jared Vanderbilt's defensive intensity. Really, I think those guys really set the tone. But then after that, you have guys like Ant balling out in these games, like in this last game against Phoenix. And I think he loves a chase down block as much as the next guy.
For sure.
I'd say goes for Beasley too. I've seen a number of those this year so far from him. And really, I think these guys can play with great energy when they want to.
Yeah.
It's just buying in all the time is the big thing.
Yeah, and I'd say really the only defensive liability we truly have on this team is D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, it's a
And
deal.
I would say I've noticed he's trying more. It's just the fact that like he's not the most athletic point guard, so like he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, he's not the fastest. So guys get by him all the time just based on there's some really good freaking point guards in this league. And
Oh yeah,
obviously he can't defend them, and that's fine because you got other good defenders on the floor. Cat's getting better as a defender at his position. Anthony Edwards has the build and the prototype and the mindset to be a really good defender. I think
oh
once he
yeah.
just kind of figures out the small techniques of playing defense, he'll be really good. He's already pretty good at D, I think. Um, then obviously, Jo, Jared Vanderbilt, like Jared Vanderbilt has just been incredible so far this season. I think one of the few like truly bright spots, just outperforming their expectations. Because I mean, he's been a great rebounder for us. He's bringing the energy on both ends of the floor. Obviously, his offensive game isn't super polished, but he doesn't really need to be an offensive weapon, especially if he's in the starting lineup with guys like Ant, D'Lo, Cat. Sometimes Beasley is out there with him too. So I don't know. I'm not expecting a ton on offense from Vando, but the stuff he's bringing on defense has been fantastic. And then obviously Patrick Beverly, who will pick a guy up at half court every single time. He'll get in their face,
Yep.
bring the intensity. He'll yell at the refs. He'll try and talk. He'll try and talk to the refs as well. Play it up a little bit. So yeah, I actually really like what I've seen so far. We've had a few games where the lapses have been there, but I think that's just kind of a result of the offense sputtering and then just not having the motivation to get back and play D.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there can definitely be a domino effect there where you just don't knock shots down on the other end, and then the other team get out in transition pretty quick, get in their offense, and really put you in bad spots. So I think it does go hand in hand like that. That I think some nights you'll just be able to grind it out, hopefully. And I mean, we saw that at that game we went to this year against the Pelicans, where offensively we were very challenged that game, but
Yeah.
the defense definitely brought the intensity, and that's what ultimately won us the game. So I think it can happen for us with this team, which is kind of weird to think about. But if they bring it defensively every night, we're at least gonna have a chance and really be in it at the end. But it's just, can we finish them up? We haven't seen any of that lately, but
Yeah,
hopefully things will change as the season goes on.
for sure. So as we kind of wrap up here, the Vegas preseason win total was at 35.5. I think a lot of people were feeling confident about the over going into the season just because of the hype surrounding Anthony Edwards. Cat and D'Lo are healthy. They're back. They're playing together, all that sort of stuff. But we're kind of seeing here, obviously, not off to the best start. They're 4-9. They've lost some games they definitely should have won, you could argue. So how are you feeling about this over under of 35.5? Are you thinking they could still get to the over, or do you have a hard time seeing that now?
Boy, I don't really know. I have a hard time when we're sitting at 4-9 saying we're going to get to 36 wins to hit the over. But I mean, this is a season long game. They didn't set this at 35.5 or nothing. So
Yeah.
I don't think they just totally missed the mark. So I still think it's going to be close. But at this point, like I probably got to play it safe and say 35 or less. I don't know. It's a pretty steep task to get to the over when we start 4-9. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, you never know. Like I said, it's a season long game. Plenty of games left to be decided. So we'll see.
Yeah, part of me really wants to say the over. There's such a small part of me that really thinks like, oh yeah, they can do this with Cat, D'Lo, and Ant. But like, there's this other, larger part of me that's like, man, I really don't know if D'Lo is the guy. Are Cat and Ant really a fit next to each other? Like, it seems like they can never have a good game at the same time. So, I mean, maybe they can get it figured out as the season goes on. I thought they played a pretty good game against the Suns. Obviously, the offense wasn't spectacular, but much
Yeah.
more complete game than they played on their road trip, especially out in against the Clippers. So, um, yeah, I guess I don't know. This team's going to be inconsistent. They still don't have the maturity. They don't have the motivation, the desire to play hard every single night. I mean, it's rare when you get that from an NBA team to begin with, and that's what you're seeing from the Warriors right now. That's why they only have one loss. Like, I mean, they're balling and they're playing great, and I don't know. You're not going to get that out of this Timberwolves team, but yeah, getting to 36 wins I think is going to be real tough. But I guess I don't know. Would 35 still get you to the 10 seed? Like I don't really know how that's going to shape out.
I would think it would, based on I was looking at the standings today and who were really around, I guess.
Yep,
And I think the Pelicans and Rockets are already out of it as far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
And
for sure.
then who else is there? I think there's going to be the Thunder
The Spurs are down there.
and the Spurs are down there, and so are the Kings. None of those teams inspire a lot of confidence for me as far as long term potential. So I'd like to think we should at least we should be in it the whole year. There's no excuse that we shouldn't be at least around there where we can push
Yeah,
for at least a playing game. So I think 35 would get you there, but I mean nothing's a guarantee, obviously. But I just don't like the very bottom of that Western Conference. I think I like a solid probably goes 8, 9 teams deep or whatever it is. I'd have
yeah.
to look at it again, but after that, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like we're just as good as those teams, but it's just can we put it together to win enough to get there? But
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, like there's no reason. I think the Thunder are in at the 10 seed right now. Like there's no reason that the Thunder should get in the playoffs over the Timberwolves.
no.
The Kings, like they've had a decent start to the season, but they're kind of faltering now. And Luke Walton's obviously not a very good coach, and I just don't think they have incredible talent there.
Yeah, I feel like the Kings are just like a dysfunctional franchise like we are.
Exactly. So, I mean, I guess it's hard to really like back the Timberwolves until they can truly prove different. But it's
Sure.
just like on paper with the talent we have, and like if Anthony Edwards can keep developing, and who knows as the season goes on, maybe within the next month or so, even this truly just turns into Ant's team. Cat gets in line right behind him, and I think another big step would be D'Lo just kind of figuring out like okay, I know I'm usually the end of the game guy that takes the clutch shot, but like Cat's hot. We need to get him the shot. Or Ant's hot. We need to get him the shot. Like it's great when D'Lo does do it, but it'd be nice to see the other two get involved in that. And even like Beasley, if Beasley's having a hot night, I wouldn't mind seeing him get the last shot of the game. So it just comes down to some of that late game execution stuff too that they need to refine. Like it's on the coach, but it's also on the players to have the awareness of okay, who's having the good night. They need to be a team about it and say, okay, Cat's my bro. He's having a great night. Let's get him going. Like this. He deserves this last shot because he's on fire. Stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, awareness was exactly what I was going to say. So I'm glad you said that. Really, it's just being aware what's going on that night, who's hot, and feed them as much as possible because you never know. It could be your night the one night, but then it could be other guys the next, and you just got to be able to find the hot hand and ride it as much as possible.
Exactly. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. The season's definitely not over by any means.
No,
Uh, Really, like fans, we just got to remember the goal is to simply just get in the playoffs. And if that's
yes,
the 10th seed and you lose the first playing game, it's okay. It's a step. You can come back next year, tweak the roster a little bit. Hopefully that keeps Cat around with Ant for a little while. So just
yeah,
stuff like that. It's about building right now. And if you can just squeak into the playoffs as a 10 seed, get that playing game under your belt, then you just go from there, I think.
yeah, exactly. I think that's a great way to put it. I think that's a great stepping stone, a good first goal.
Absolutely. So, yeah, that'll do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so already. Hit that like button if you're a Minnesota Timberwolves fan and you still believe, or if you're a Minnesota Timberwolves fan and you're just thinking this is the same old Wolves already. Give us a follow on both Twitter and Instagram and leave your comments below how you're feeling about the team, what you think needs to be tweaked, who needs to be playing better, different lineup combinations. Maybe you want to see Leandro Balmero get his shot. So, anything like that, be sure to leave your comments below. So, thanks for watching.